The American Civil War. In the 19th century, America saw economic expansion, social change, interest in scientific discovery and inventions, together with an extraordinary literary expression. Industrialization was well established in the North, but the economy of the South was based on the vast plantations of tobacco and cotton using slave labor. The population in the North was expanding rapidly with the influx of immigrants from Europe, while in the South there was little immigration and a rigid class distinction between the backward-looking aristocracy of plantation owners and about 4 million black slaves. After the 1830s, several northern states adopted emancipation, and abolitionists attacked the exploitation of slaves. Northern abolitionists began to organize themselves as a political movement. The former Whig Party became the Republican Party, demanding that slavery be excluded from all territories of the Union. In 1860, the Republican candidate Abraham Lincoln won the presidential election, and 11 Southern states seceded, forming the Confederate States of America under the presidency of Jefferson Davis. War followed when Lincoln refused to concede that any American state had the constitutional right to withdraw from the Union. The Civil War broke out in 1861 and lasted 4 years, with 625,000 dead. Finally, the Northern troops commanded by Ulysses S. Grant defeated the Confederates led by Robert Lee. 5 days later, President Lincoln was assassinated by a Southern fanatic. The outcome of the war ensured that the United States would remain an indivisible nation under a sovereign federal government. Slavery was abolished. The abolition of slavery in 1865 did not grant the blacks equality and economic security. They were free, but left with no money or home. Some migrated to the industrial cities in the North, others remained with their impoverished old masters in the South. There was resentment and violence embodied in the racist movement, the Ku Klux Klan, which terrorized the blacks and their families. The so-called black codes were created, which segregated the blacks in schools, hospitals, and means of transport. The economy of the South had collapsed during the war, while the northern factories had increased their output to supply military needs. The country's natural resources, including coal, copper, iron, and oil, were fully exploited. Men like Cornelius Vanderbilt and John Rockefeller created financial empires in a new version of the American dream. But this wealth was in the hands of a few, while the majority of workers were exploited and organized themselves into trade unions. In 1866, the American Federation of Labor, AFL, was formed. The discovery of gold in California in 1848-49 led to a gold rush. Expansion and settlement in the West were also encouraged by the Homestead Act, which granted free land to the first occupants. This westward expansion led to the disappearance of the frontier, the extermination of buffaloes, and consequent starvation of the American Indians, who were forcibly deported from their lands or brutally exterminated. Cattlemen, or cowboys, became the new symbol of the West.